Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, welcome into Daily Wolves. It is me, Chris, and with me today is James. Hey James.
Hey, yeah. Just a bit disappointed about the game, but Forest are a good team, so.
Yeah, the sound of resignation, because we are recording this straight after tonight's game. I mean, if you're hearing this, we recorded it straight after the game. Wolves 0, Forest 3. And I kind of came into this with so much optimism, James. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have taken a draw. That would have been because they're flying, so that would have been a decent result. But first things first, I mean, before we get into the game itself, what did you make of the lineup? Because obviously there was some changes today, quite a bit enforced, it seems. What did you think when you saw the team sheet?
I was very sceptical, I'll be honest, when I saw that team sheet. Seeing Ike Nori playing that centre-back role, I was really not filled with hope. I quite like Rodrigo Gomez on the left, so I felt comfortable with him back in on that left side. But Pedro Lima, it was. I personally don't think he's ready for the Premier, especially in such a big game against Forest, when they're flying high, as you said. Without Cunha, I mean, everyone knows that's just such a big loss. So, yeah, I was sceptical. I was very sceptical.
Yeah, the lineup was scary. I think similar to you, the thing that worried me most in the back three was Ait Nori, just because he's not got the physical strength and he likes to get forward so much, and I just don't see him as a centre-back at all. But I get that you want someone at least who's got some experience defensively as opposed to just putting a midfielder in there. Like, we've seen too much of the likes of Lamina and stuff in there and it's not worked. So I get trying to just shift someone across that is potentially, presumably, more positionally aware. Lima, not quite ready, but again, I don't mind the round peg and round holes kind of thing. If Semedo's out, technically he's one of the. If Doc's because Doc's not there, he's got to be in the middle. Then I kind of get it, and at least he offers. I think he does offer stuff going forward. Maybe left Doc a little bit more open than like Semedo would, because obviously they've got quite a good partnership. So I think maybe a little bit more susceptible at the back, because he was pushing that touchline like he was so high up. And obviously they've been told to, because both him and Gomez were like pushing really far up the wings at points, but it did leave a lot open at the back.
Yeah, I will say both playing really high up, and I totally expected that before the game. What I will say is Lima, I saw a little less tracking back compared to Rodrigo Gomez. I'm sure that's just inexperience and fitness, because, I mean, he's never started a Premier League game before. But I think that probably killed us on a couple of occasions, especially that second goal where Doherty was just left stranded, although definitely was his mistake. I still don't know what he was trying to do that second goal, but I think it just shows a little bit of inexperience. But I will say he really surprised me. He seemed really comfortable in that role, even though maybe he was a little out of shape most of the time.
Yeah, in terms of the Lima thing, I think he's got a great cross on him. Like, I think he's got some positive signs there for the future. And he did leave Doc a little bit open. But that second goal, I mean, we'll get onto them one by one, I guess. But there's a big mistake there from Doc. But the lineup itself, those were the two big concerns for me as well. They made a big thing about 5 changes, but obviously we knew Andre wasn't going to be there in one form or another. We knew that technically Strand Larsen counted as a change, but he was less rested from the start of the last game anyway. So for us, that's not a big deal. But going forwards, I was actually not too worried. It was all defensively. I was scared. That was the main issue.
Yeah, I totally agree. But the forwards with Hwang going back on the left, after the Tottenham game, I was actually quite looking forward to seeing him on that left, but he really struggled today. I mean, I think everyone really saw that. The ground, it was very frosty towards him, and I did feel bad, because the atmosphere was really against him whenever he got the ball, and I think that obviously didn't help. But I honestly can't remember a good move he made in that game. Everything just went wrong for him, and I do feel for him, but I think it's clear that he's not kind of good enough in that to start for us at the moment. He scores goals, but he's really not good in like transitions and play and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to give him some credit. Like that one chance for Strand Larsen where it was like cleared off the line, that came from the Hwang drive and shot, where he, a bit like Newcastle, when he cuts back, like he drives into the box, cuts back, defender goes down, and then he takes the strike.
Yeah.
So like I know that's like one moment.
Yeah, but
and defensively, I think he did do some hard.
Sorry, I was just going to say I don't think I spotted that in the game because I was completely other end, and all you could see was a ball flying left, and but if he might have,
Okay.
Yeah, he might have had a couple of moments I didn't spot, but
okay, yeah. He so there was the first of Strand Larsen's like huge moments where we could have, we should have got a goal. It was cleared off the line, but it came from Hwang. He got the ball in there, like just inside their half, drove up into the box, and then say cut back. He's heading towards the touchline. Does that kind of quick shift he does, where he cuts it back and almost drops the defender on their bum as they slide in, and then it's his strike that goes past the goalie, and then Strand Larsen tries to toe tap it over the line, and it's blocked by the defender. So again, that was one moment. Defensively, I think he did have some moments where he got back and he's worked hard as he does for the team to try and get in people's way, and he did do some hard work defensively. I'm not buying him out completely because there was a few moments where his passes were astray, and there was one moment where he looked like he should have had a great shot and it actually touched his right toe before he struck it with his left boot, which is why it went like off to the sky, because it was just one of those unfortunate moments. But I get, you could hear it and I could tell there was a few moments where it didn't quite work, but I feel like he was, as he does, he was in and out and he had a couple of good moments, but then there was a few moments where people do jump on his back pretty fast.
Yeah, it's just inconsistencies with him. Guedes was a bit quiet as well. I'd say it might have been different on the TV for you, but I felt he kind of dropped in a bit to kind of fill Cunha's role, maybe.
Mm.
But
perhaps he did seem, again, more from the coverage, watching the image overall. He often seemed, particularly that first half. I think the second half we struggled more, and they were even more willing to sit back and just soak up pressure. The first half, whenever Gedge got the ball, I felt like he was at least driving at people and trying to get forward and always making runs. But obviously, before all of that, the sucker punch was only like 7th minute or something, their first goal, and they basically, that entire game, Nuno has done to them what he did for us, is make them able to just soak up pressure and then hit teams on the counter. And it was literally like watching us from 3-4 years ago, however long it's been, because it felt like old school Wolves. I say old school, it's only a few years, but the Nuno era Wolves, because they literally for large periods of the game didn't have the ball, were happy to just sit there deep, soak it up, and then that opening goal, you just knew it was going to happen, and you knew it was going to be Gibbs White. It just had to be.
Yeah, as soon as the fans started jeering him on, you were just like, oh, it's just going to happen, isn't it? But I have exactly that written down. Nuno did exactly what he did under us, just soak up that pressure, and then as soon as they make a mistake, bam, just go for it. It just seemed like they were 2 steps ahead the whole time. Like we played some lovely football that first half, but as you said, they just soak it up so well. It's just great. It used to be great to watch as a Wolves fan, but now playing against it, I really, really, really don't like it.
Did you think we could have done more with the first goal? Because it seemed like we backed off. Did you, from your position, think that anyone could have, closed anyone down faster, or anyone was out of place?
I would have highlighted Ike Nori out in that, but I mean, I'm not putting the whole blame on him because he's not in his normal position, and he just seemed like he was locked in no man's land for a bit. He was kind of shimmying left, right, didn't really know where to be, and they played it out to Elanga, and then, I mean, it was just easy from there. yeah, apart from that, it was just a good counter-attacking goal from Forest. They have such quality up front. It's just linking. They went left, right, bang into the net. But yeah, I would say Nori possibly just he just wasn't. He was for 6 minutes in, wasn't switched on. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I felt likewise that he was kind of in because Bueno was more central to Gibbs White, and it was almost a 2-on-1 because Nori was almost heading in that direction rather than, like you say, going off to the winger. And then so when it came out, he had so much space to then just put it back in, and Nori, like you say, was kind of caught in no man's land. So for me, yeah, potentially that's the difference between having an experienced centre back there and someone who's more of a wing back / winger. It just shows that we really do need this new signing and people to be fit, because those moments were the difference where people were just given so much space on those counters, and you knew that but that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's really bizarre to watch because you just know it's going to happen, but you can't stop it. It's inevitable, and yeah, Nunes did such a good job with that team. Yeah, it's just the two wingers, Alanga and Hudson-Odoi, has got such pace, and as we'll talk about the second goal in a minute, I mean, absolutely did dirty like a kipper.
Yeah. Before we get on to the rest of the first half and that goal, I will just take a moment to remind everyone that this podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football, a unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network, every club, every day. The main thing for me, James, is that entire first half. The first half finished, and all I could think was, and we're building up to the second goal, but because the period in between, particularly the first and second goal, I was just thinking, how have we not scored? That it just felt like we should have scored. Their keeper made a couple of decent saves. They had one cleared off the line by a defender. Did you get that sense being there? Did it feel like, because from my perspective watching, I was like, I don't understand how we've not scored.
Yeah, so it was the exact at the ground. It was the atmosphere was really starting to pick up, especially towards like the half an hour mark, because Sells made a few cracking saves. He was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I haven't watched much of him this season, but I can tell why they're doing so well with him in goal. He was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it was a couple of chances. I can't think off the top of my head, but it was obviously Strant Larson had a couple, that header, and the one off the line. And then I think Rodrigo Gomez had a really good effort that was saved as well. And yeah, everyone started really picking up a bit, and we're like, oh, we really have got a good shot here. But then it's a hope that kills you, isn't it? A few minutes later, they came on the transition.
Yeah. As you say, you've kind of reeled off a lot of the big chances. As we mentioned already, that one cleared off the line from Larson, where, but if he puts it anywhere else but there, it's a goal. The Rodrigo Gomez chance, I mean, it was a rocket on the volley, and just keep. I mean, it's fairly close to the keeper, but the pace of it meant I think it still could have beaten a few people. And then again, it's a beautiful cross from, I think it was a Gomez cross for the Strand Larson header. That again, he's done the right thing. He's hit it down, like it's coming at him so fast, and he's so close to goal. He's put it down and just tried to direct it towards goal, because it's got all the pace on the ball, and it's just close enough to, like, he's pretty much just hit the keeper but then the keeper, I know we talk about he hasn't really had to make the save because it hit him, but positionally he's in the right place. Like he's put his body even before the ball has come in the right place in the goal to just for it to hit him. So, but it was so frustrating to see those chances go flying. And then there was another chance for Larson, I think, where he managed to get the ball and break free, and got, like you say, another strike on goal. He could have Larson could have had a hat trick in that first half.
Yeah,
and there was two great saves and one cleared off the line, and it could have been so. I know football and like all sports is a game of ifs and a buts, but it just felt like it any other day that he would have had a hat trick already.
Yeah, Yeah, that's why I'm come out of this game not really worrying. There's not much of an overreaction because that could have gone two ways, 100%. I mean, if Larson headed the ball more right, it's just so many ifs and buts, and it's just got to hope more stuff goes our way in the next few games because we have got a really tough run, I think.
Yeah, we have, which is why I hope we get not just this new guy coming in, but maybe a couple more, because that second goal that we've been talking about, I mean, Doc, I almost think like he knows that guy's got the pace to beat him where he is, and so he's put, because the thing is, he's putting his hand up for the offside call, but there's no way, it's nowhere near, and then he's claiming for it, and rather than just trying to get the ball, and it gets to a certain point where it's like, this guy's going to beat you, you almost need to take the yellow card and just take him down, do something, because once he's in the box, you can't touch him and it's all over, and by then he's past him anyway. So were you like, again, what did you make of that? But did you think he should have just taken the card?
Yeah, he 100% should have as soon as Hudson-Odoi got past him, but I don't know what was going through his head, because he can't have been saying offside because he was coming from behind him. He was coming from behind his left shoulder, and as soon as he kind of slowed down a bit, you just knew that he was going to get skinned. And as you said, he definitely should have gone for the foul there, and because Hudson-Odoi would have him 10 out of 10 times. I just love to know what he was thinking in that situation, because he obviously knows himself that he's not going to beat him in a foot race. But
yeah, it was an odd one. The ball seemed to bounce just before them, and he let it go over him. And normally he's quite good in the air, so I didn't, or anticipating, those long balls coming in. So I didn't quite understand why he didn't either like cut it short or try and get it before it's gone over them, because it just seemed to loop over. And then once he's past him, that's it. It was game over, and you just knew then it was going to be another goal. And Chris Wood, again, we named the two scorers when Nathan and I did our last episode. We said who was going to score for them. It was going to be Gibbs White and Chris Wood, and there he is. It's one of the easiest finishes he'll probably have all season.
Yeah, it was inevitable. I mean, it's bittersweet because my fantasy team is going to be getting a few points from that. So,
don't.
But he just knew it was going to happen. I mean, he's like Strand Larson in the way he kind of drops off and takes the ball down and helps out the wider players in the midfield. But he's just always is in the right spot at the right time, and he was there. He wasn't moving at all. He kind of just sat near the penalty, the 6-yard spot, and waited for the ball to come to him. Just put his foot out, and it's there. It was just that was the goal that annoyed me. It was just too easy, I think, because we had two players on him as well, and he was still free. It's just frustrating to watch, but
yeah. But that being right before half time just felt like such a sucker punch, because we'd been on top. It felt like we should be at that point at least 1-1, if not 2-1. And it just felt like it took all of the energy out of everything going into half time. I mean, I couldn't tell, but you can't always tell on from afar on the cameras, but it felt like that. And I'm presuming it was the same there. It just must have just taken the wind out of everyone.
Yeah, the energy just kind of came out of the whole stadium after that. When we were 1-0 down, we were all kind of going, we're in this, we're really in this, and we've been playing well. As soon as that second goal went in, everyone just kind of went down, their shoulders slumped. You're just like, oh, here we go. And it's going to be impossible to come back against that Forest side when you're 2-0 down. And it's clearly seen in the second half as they drop off 11 men behind the ball. It's pretty much impossible to break down.
Yeah, the second half was a bit more, I don't say a non-event. We still had some chances. We dominated possession for the most part. But again, that's kind of what they set up to do. They shifted from a 4 to a back 5 partway through the second half, as well, as they really started to shut up shop. And And so it, again, just classic Nuno, and it was really frustrating to see. I did appreciate that. I mean, what did you make of Pereira's subs, like when they came on and who came on? Did you make anything of were they positive for you? Did did you see any improvement or anything from that?
It was a tough one because I don't think many substitutions could have changed anything in that game because of how deep they sat. I think bringing off Tommy Doyle first was probably the one that annoyed me most. I think he was fantastic today. One of our best players. He was so good when collecting the ball in the middle, turning and like running with it. So when he came, I can't remember who he came off for. You might have to remind me. But yeah, when he
I
came
think it
off,
was Lamina, pretty much.
Was it Lamina? Yeah, and Lamina wasn't great. He's had a couple of games off, so Lamina was a bit rusty coming on. I'm gonna stick on Hwang again. I wanted him to come off first because it just wasn't the game for him. And when he didn't, I think it wasn't necessarily the subs. It was just, I think, the wrong time he made the subs. I think someone should have come off straight away at half time to really give us that boost of energy, get us an early goal. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, he's limited at the place he probably wanted to do it the most, which is in the back line, because he had mainly youngsters on the bench. We had Mapeu on the bench, and even, I think, was Alfie Pond on there, and even a 16-year-old Ako Wendu. I've got that name completely wrong, I think. But so yeah, it just obviously rubbing, like, just emphasizing the fact that we've with between injuries and everything, there isn't much cover there. It was interesting that Pedro Lima came off in that first wave of subs at like 57 minutes. It was him and Doyle, I think, for Lamina, and my brain is it was Bellegarde.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had Forbes come on later, but again, there was no real shift. Bellegarde maybe had a little bit more physical strength than Lima did on that right hand side. Just in terms of physicality and experience, but it didn't really change much in terms of what was going forward.
Yeah, I think Lima had to come off just because of fitness and first Premier League game. I mean, full 60's got to take the wind out of you a bit playing your first game. And yeah, Bellegarde, I would actually say Bellegarde was pretty good when he came on. He did add a bit of, as you said, that physical presence in the middle. He was a part. I remember him kind of shielding a couple of players off the ball a bit and creating something. But at the same time, it still didn't really add that much to the game. Really, as Forest was so compact and so good, it was staying back. It was really impressive to watch. But in that second half, I don't think there was at any point we looked like scoring.
No, I mean, it was like trying to thread a needle, right? Because they had literally two banks of 5 at points and all sat almost pretty much on the edge of the penalty area. And I mean, it was trying to do precision stuff or whip in a ball and hope that, but they're pretty strong in the air anyway. And was it just me as well, or did they seem, because they're quite a physical team? And what I noticed, particularly with the likes of people like Bellegarde in midfield trying to hold them off, and there was a lot of, from my perspective anyway, there was a lot of just pulling on people's arms and like holding on to them a little bit longer than, I know everyone does it, but it seemed a lot like they were very manhandly sometimes too much of the ref let quite a lot go. There was one point, for example, Bueno had the ball and like he was going to break forward and someone literally just pulled his arm and held him back so that he couldn't go anywhere and he had to pass it. And they seem innocuous, but they added up like through the game. Every time there was a chance that something could flow, people were just kind of held that bit longer. I don't know if I'm just seeing things, but did you get any of that?
Yeah, definitely, especially on Strand Larsen, I'd say. As the ball kind of gets lofted over the top, Murillo especially really get both hands on him and keep him where he was. And it's down to opinion, isn't it? It depends on the referee. Some refs would pull that up, some wouldn't. And this one, wanted to keep play flowing, which normally I'm all for, but watching that, I was really wanted him to get a foul quickly. But yeah, I think it's just down to opinion, and they are an aggressive side, and obviously Nuno's been telling them to do this, especially 2-0 up. Just slows the game down a bit, and if we would say had a bit of possession, it would kind of slow us down, get us to regroup a bit, and I think that's what they're aiming to do.
Yeah, it just frustrated me because sometimes I'm like, I get that I don't know. There's an element of the game I don't like, and sometimes it's just when it gets a little bit too, dirty for my gentlemanly conduct. I'm an old-fashioned gentleman, and I don't like to see it. But before we go into like the latter part of the game and the third goal, I should just take another moment to do the other bit of housekeeping that I need to do, which is to remind everyone that here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we did spend a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. So, to be honest, in the latter parts of the game, all I really wanted was a goal because I wanted to ruin their growing clean sheet record. When it got to the point that I didn't think we could win anymore, because they're on this run of like that's 6 wins now, and I think is it 3 or 4 clean sheets, and I just wanted to.
4, yeah.
I was like, I just want to. I felt like we deserved a goal, particularly on that first half. And I was just like, I just want us to break the clean sheet. Just give us a goal. Didn't ever feel like it was going to come. And then the typical sucker punch again, a bit like we did to Man U almost to the end. And yeah, what was your view of the third goal?
Yeah, it's funny because as soon as Hwang was coming on, I kind of turned to my brother and I was like, oh, he's going to absolutely kill us on the counter-attack. And it happened. The writing was already on the wall. He's a big, quick player. And they were obviously going to get one more chance that game because we had all 11 players in their half. And as soon as I think it was Hudson-Odoi was on the left driving with the ball. I might be wrong there, but as soon as that happened, I saw about 1,000 people just stood up and was like, "No, I'm not watching," and started walking down. It's just it does annoy me because it kind of. I think there's a big difference between 2-0 and 3-0, and the 3-0 scoreline kind of makes it look like a really poor performance from us, which I don't think it was.
No, I agree. I don't think it was. And I feel like, again, I know we've got some hard games coming, but that first half performance particularly, I feel like against a bunch of other teams, even without Cunha, it showed that we are still dangerous going forward. And on another day, a bunch of those go in, because some of them were unlucky with deflections or people on the line in the right place or whatever it was. And another day, like that whole thing changes. And against other teams we've got coming up, I'm still hopeful that there's so much positivity going forward, even without Cunha in the side. I know we didn't score, but we felt dangerous, if you get what I mean. And if we do get this defender in and maybe one or two more, then there's the potential that some of the mistakes at the back will be improved. So overall, there's a positive element, but that third goal was really frustrating. And before I get your input on it, I just want to say what frustrated me though was I know that because there's all this speculation, right, about because nothing is officially confirmed yet about Lamina potentially moving away to Saudi Arabia. When he came on, now obviously you can't see this from there, but he looked so kind of uninterested, like when he was standing on the sideline waiting to come in, almost like, oh gosh, this isn't really what I fancy. And then that third goal, it's him that falls down in the middle, which gives all of the space, for the goal, because he's tracking back and he's in the middle and he turns. I'm not saying he fell over on purpose or anything, but it was a weird movement because the ball, as it comes across behind him, because it goes across to the right first, he turns as if to try and get it, but there's physically no way he can, and he gets his feet all twisted and falls down. If he just kept running with their striker as opposed to like trying to do this weird half twist, he would have stayed upright and would at least have been there to kind of compete for the ball coming in, or like positionally try and make it harder for him. But he just kind of like spun and flung himself in this really weird spaghetti motion. And his whole, and he said he's a bit rusty because of injury, but he just didn't bring it for me in a way that felt like he used to. Might be, again, seeing things that aren't there because of all the speculation, but it was frustrating. Did you already said that he felt he looked rusty. Did you notice the fall for one thing in that goal?
I'll be honest, I don't think I did. I think I was on my way out when they played that pass, but yeah, you might be right. It might be that he's probably got 1 foot already out the door, and he's just a bit like, let's just get through the next few weeks so I can leave. Yeah, he just it was when he came on. I think the first pass he made, he was a bit half-arsed and played it to a Nottingham Forest player, and it was just we all kind of went, oh no, he just doesn't look like he wants to be there anymore. And I think you're right. Yeah, I think everyone kind of saw it as well.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because it's only been a year or two. Within a couple of years, his journey is so like roller coaster, coming in, helping save us from relegation, and all the way up to club captain, and now this kind of downfall under the Gary O'Neill era. But and then to be 1 foot out the door. And as I say, I might be seeing some things that aren't there, and I know we're 2-0 down, and no one coming on is happy when they're 2-0 down, thinking I'm probably not going to be able to turn this around. But I don't know. There was just something about it that didn't sit right. And then the way he just kind of got himself all twisted up in that third goal, it just annoyed me, because I was like, come on, there was no way you were going to get that. So just keep tracking the guy that is right in the middle, the guy that is the danger man, just track him. But no.
Yeah, it sort of reminded me of Guedes last season, with the kind of not bothered attitude and not tracking back and kind of half-arsing everything he does, which it's just the worst possible thing you can have in a team that is struggling with relegation. You need players who really want to fight for the badge, and maybe he doesn't want to anymore, which is a bit sad, because he was one of the players that you could see really cared and loved the club, but maybe not anymore.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's all speculation at the moment, but from a lot of fairly well-respected sources. So it might just be a matter of time. However, despite all of that, despite 3-0 defeat, like you say, the scoreline, I think, isn't. I mean, it's what Nottingham Forest have been doing to people all season. It's what they will continue to do, most likely, and it's what Nuno does. So, but I think there is some positive elements there. Next up, Bristol City away in the cup. I mean, it's the second ban game for Cunha, so he won't be there. But I don't think it really matters, because it's that we're not that fussed about the FA. Normally, I'd be really fussed about the FA Cup, but it's relegation fight that is priority. Do you think we're going to mainly see? We'll do a proper forecast later in the week, but do you think we'll just see like wholesale changes, kind of lots of youngsters come in? I mean, we haven't got that big a squad.
Yeah, I think we will. Honestly, I think it's come at the perfect time, though. A pretty bad loss to Nottingham Forest. I think a game against Bristol City, mid-table championship side, might boost a little bit of confidence back into the team. That's if we win, though. And yeah, if we hopefully win. I do think there'll be changes, though. Maybe a couple of young centre-backs to come in and give it a whirl. But yeah, and attacking wise, I think we'll definitely switch things around. Probably a few youngsters coming into the team.
Yeah, we'll see. And then obviously the next big massive league game, though, is after that is away to Newcastle, which is going to be tough. Wednesday, 15th of January. So yeah, and then it's Chelsea, and then it's Arsenal. Like we're in that run again where it's going to be interesting. But you never know.
No, you don't. But it is.
All right. Any final?
Yeah.
It is. It is. Any final thoughts, James? Anything from the game that you didn't get to speak about, or anything at all you want to share with the people?
I think the overall reaction is don't overreact. I think this is a game against a really, really solid team. They're high flying. They did exactly what they've been doing to everyone else, and we competed for majority of that game, I believe. So I just think maybe I heard a lot of people on the way home on the radio kind of saying, "Oh God, we really need some signings, really," which we do, but at the same time, we looked comfortable for much of that first half. So I would say don't overreact. Just see what happens in the next couple of games, and I think there's positive signs there.
There is, and basically, there's a sentence that sums up all of that, James, and it's the sentence I always close with: is just remember, everyone, that out of darkness cometh light.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.